Well, that's no good. It's like super cold outside, so we're in the shop. Not too bad in here, even with no heat, staying pretty warm. I'm gonna show you a few things on the old E90 here. And this video is gonna be about catalyst codes and the issues with N52, really, and M54 also. So P0420, P0430, and why most of these cars have those codes off and on. Okay, so there's a bunch of different things that can cause this. My E90 and the E60 have this code. This E39 had the code until we did the old delete on it. There's so many different things that cause this. We're gonna start from the top, try not to miss anything here, and see if we get them all. Okay, let's start off with this. On these cars, the catalytic converters built into the exhaust manifold, right? So it's made onto the bottom of the exhaust manifold. There's two on each side, one for 1 through 3 and one for 4 through 6. Now, unfortunately, there's no proven way to fix this, right? And there's a lot of guys have solutions for this, all kinds of quirky things, like put a half a gallon of paint thinner in your gas tank. Well, that sounds kind of risky. The other is to take them off the car, dump them in a bucket of paint thinner, and clean them out. Well, that's not too easy to do either, since they're built on the manifold. It takes some pretty good tricks to get these out of here without incident. The next thing is running stuff through the fuel. And I've done this before too. A lot of guys run seafoam or even the fuel injector cleaner through. I've had cars in the past, it seemed like the Lucas injector cleaner would do it. If you ran it pretty consistently, eventually it cleaned stuff out. But I think that was more if it wasn't totally stopped up, right? And if you're getting like an efficiency below threshold where it's not flowing enough, sometimes that'll help. Sometimes just driving will help it. Sometimes it won't. How the problem usually starts, there's a couple different ways, first of all. The first one is they kind of had problems with these catalytic converters on all the years. Being that close to the actual engine, as stuff goes through them, it's red hot and makes them stop up. If you don't know, the inside of the catalytic converter is like a honeycomb looking deal. I'll put a picture up here for you. And the little holes get stopped up and it covers up a lot of the flow, cuts it off. It's going to start off usually with the PCV. And as you know, on M52s with plastic valve cover, the PCV is on top of the valve cover. If that fails, it starts burning oil. It'll have issues with that. The second thing is, well, if you have the metal valve cover, the PCV is on this side and the same difference. Also, if you have an early M52 that has valve seal guide issues where it's burning oil, that'll also make it throw it too. Not only limited to that, if you have a bad mass airflow sensor and that's not mixing the fuel correctly, that could do it too. If you run the car in open loop, so the check engine light's on for something, so it's kind of safe fueling, over fueling a little bit, that'll make you have issues with that also. Anybody has had a bad head gasket or a blown engine on one of these, a lot of times you go to, after you fix it, put a different engine in it, fix the head gasket, etc., you get codes for catalytic converter because it burned a bunch of coolant through, it burned a bunch of oil through, or hard telling what, really. That's another issue too. So the milder causes of it are the coil packs. And a bad coil pack, get it out of there. A bad coil pack will do it. If it's not fueling right, not fueling right in that cylinder, it's gonna be running rich. It's gonna cause stuff to hang and not burn cleanly through the catalytic converter. Bad spark plugs, that's another one. If you have any kind of shady Van solenoids, eccentric shaft sensor, eccentric shaft motor, that could all be a cause of it. There again, back to the CCV or PCV. If you have a plastic valve cover, the PCV is not bad. If you have a bad hose going to it, it's got a crack in it, your valve cover has a crack in it, it causes it not to put enough suction on the crankcase, where it's going to be burning those oil vapors instead of recycling them, is going to cause that problem too. And a lot of guys will go even as far as to say running a dirty air filter all the time will make it do it also. Now, if you have some shifty spark plugs, dirty air filter, maybe a bad coil pack, if that's the case, I would say you could probably go ahead and run injector cleaner in the fuel tank and get it cleaned out. You might have to do 3 or 4 tanks. My experience is usually it'll come out of it if you do that. There's other products out there also. I have not tried any of those. Anything else kind of a gamble. Unfortunately, the price, you have 3 different options if you just can't get the code to go off. 1, replace them. Okay, before I made this video, I just got on eBay a set of new manifolds for this car, not used, new, is $1,000 or $500 a piece. That probably is not going to be an option for most people with the N52 engine, because those cars are getting older and probably aren't worth more than $3,000 or $4,000 as a whole car. The second option is to buy a used set. The problem with buying a used set is going to have the same problem yours has, more than likely. Like I said, this car has the issue, the E60 has the issue. There again though, they both had engine problems whenever I got them. They're both in engine poor condition, you might want to say. The E60's blowing up. And whether that caused it or not, you know, it's really hard to say. Now, something else I didn't go over with, a lot of times these cars sit. These cars, or even those cars, if they sit for a long time and you go to start them, a lot of times the compression's low, or they could be smoking. A lot of times the O-rings will stick in on the piston. The O-ring's the bottom ring on the piston. Those actually stick in and they'll use oil. And you'll see me a lot of times dump injector cleaner down the spark plug holes and let it sit overnight. That problem can also cause that. And I've had some E39s before that have had that problem, I believe, from that. That's the situation. Your other option of replacement is to go with catless exhaust. That's not going to be an option for most people if you live in the city. That's going to be a no-go. You know, and the problem we had even with the E39 is trying to find headers that fit it and where you don't have to cut the pipes that are bolt directly in. That's pretty hard to do. And so you're to the point where I am with this. It still has a little bit of a misfire and everything's new. And it's kind of in the back of your mind. It's like, you know, is that due from maybe our brake booster problem? Or is that from the catalytic converters getting super low flow and getting stopped up? Just thought you guys would like to know that. That's a super common question. There is a few cheater tricks to it, and I've done videos in the past. You can use the spark plug, the non-foulers that screw in the pipe on the rear oxygen sensors. In fact, I'll put a link in the description to some of those on Amazon. They're dirt cheap, like $8. That'll usually get you past inspection if you're not in California, if you're just in a regular city, and that'll get the check engine light off. It won't really fix the problem, but it'll let you be able to pass inspection. That's gonna be it, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon. Have a good day. Almost forgot too, I was gonna show you the door. And we finally got it done. It needs one more coat and all the fascia boards. And we got one bolt there we gotta put in. And the light's a little bit crooked from there to there. But you get the basic idea. Everything functions well. And a lot of guys are asking about that after the Facebook post I put on my personal Facebook. But there it is. Have a good day.